Welcome in, everybody, to a new episode of the Triple Coverage Podcast. I am Lance Nelson. To my left, Scott Casson. To my right, Benjamin Shoup. The schedule was released last night, and we're ready to discuss that and pretty much that. What's up, Shoup?
Nothing much. As it goes to what we were talking about last week, my basketball team still is in it, so technically we're still going there. But got the schedule released, so looking at which games we're going to try to go to and see some new stadiums there. So I'm excited to see which ones I end up going to. But yeah, it's fun. Always fun to kind of see schedule day, and even though there's a bunch of leaks all the time, it's still fun to just kind of see them come out as the day goes on.
Yeah, excited about the schedule. I was happy you brought it up, so I was going to say if you two were going to talk about the Knicks and Celtics or not. I'm a third-party bystander, so we'll have to watch the two of you just argue it out.
Yeah,
Ben's
definitely.
already in his tears about Jason Tatum getting hurt and having an excuse. So
yeah, I was all ready to collect my my bet this weekend, and just or yesterday, I guess. Yesterday was fresh off that home win for the Celtics. So congratulations, Scott. You get another chance here. Was it tomorrow they play or Saturday? I don't know which one.
It might be Saturday because I don't know. Sometimes they skip. Oh, it is tomorrow. I know sometimes they skip when they go to different.
I don't think there are any NBA games on Saturday because I remember looking and being annoyed. But we got the Preakness, we got the Ponies, and a PGA Championship this weekend.
Yeah, we gotta get OG and Mikal Bridges there to go better than 5 for 25 in the first three quarters, and we'll see what happens.
What happens when Luke Cornett's on the court? No,
Luke Cornett just took over by storm. Ben was all over it. Yeah, cool. So the schedule release. We're going to go into quick thoughts here. What do you think of the process of the schedule release and how, I guess games are leaked going up to it, and then really by the time that it's announced on TV, we have the full thing. Just go into what your thoughts are on the full process of this thing, and maybe if you think there's anything the NFL or anyone else could or should do to make it better. What do you think there?
Yeah,
I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
I like the schedule release day because I like to see when the games are. Obviously, who they're playing years in advance, except for 3 games every season. But it's nice to see where they are, how the schedule lines up. But I think the process of it is so dumb. Everybody has the schedule by 2 p.m. on Twitter. They're releasing a game or two a day on other news shows. I understand the NFL is the best at getting all eyes on it for the most obscure of things, but the schedule release, it feels like recently it started getting leaked on Twitter. It used to be they'd have their schedule release show, but no one really knew. It kind of seems like the NFL wants people to find out because it's all anybody talks about for the whole day. So from that perspective, I get it. But to me, it's just stupid and kind of annoying to piece together a schedule by random leaks here and there. Like I said, the NFL knows what they're doing, but I don't know. I think it's just kind of annoying.
Yeah, it's kind of like how in the NFL drafts, if you find out the pick at some points you can find out the pick a pick before and 5 minutes before it comes out. This is even worse because
they had to tell Schefter to stop spoiling them.
Yeah, and this is even worse because you find out hours before they announce it. So yeah, it is what it is. It's not something I think people are going to be up in arms about. Obviously, it's not the worst thing that they can leak during the day, but yeah, you do miss those days when you used to have to wait all day talking about it, and then the main source was those team videos that they release, and you wait for that to see how teams will release and announce it. But yeah, it sucks. You did see some, I guess this year you saw some leaks that ended up not being true, because I know a lot of people thought that week 1 would be the Bengals, and you heard about the Christmas Day potentially, and neither of those ended up being true. But during the day of the actual release, most of them were on par, and most of them were correct. But it is what it is. It's not, like I said, it's not something that's people are going to be up in arms about, or even me, or I think you guys as well aren't going to be up in arms about oh, I wish they would wait. But it does kind of take the excitement away and take the kind of fun out of it. But you still get it that day, and it's still fun to then look at it and see how you feel about the schedule. And I feel pretty good about the Bills one.
Feel really good about it. The cool thing is, I guess, like all the social media stuff, like themselves putting together those pretty cool schedule release videos. I thought the Bills schedule release video was well intended, but very poorly executed. I think Scott and I share the opinion on this, but like just maybe expound upon that, Scott or Ben. Just like, what do you think, of like the release videos? I know one did a Mario, like I think Atlanta did a Mario Kart, which was pretty cool. Some did Minecraft, which was, at least those are very creative and they're kind of fun ways to get that. The Bills, I felt like, that was really clever idea with saying AI and making Allen Iverson, but then it just fell flat on its face because Allen Iverson was disinterested and like, okay, here's the paper schedule and whatever. It wouldn't even say go Bills, so it didn't really get the point.
Yeah, I think they're cool. It all kind of started with the Chargers a couple of years back, and then the Chargers social media team has the best one every year. They even they make fun of like other teams in it. You see, they had the Minnesota Wild banner for playing the Vikings. That was like 8-time first round runner up. Like I thought that was really funny. Like the Titans always do a really good one too. They have that super viral one of asking like the drunk girls on Broadway, what logos are these? That one's always good. But yeah, the Bills one, I agree with you. It was really cool, and at least for me, with Josh shooting around and them saying AI, it's like, oh, Allen Iverson's gonna be in this. And at first I thought, oh, but he's gonna like come out and they're gonna like shoot around and like make shots for weeks or something. And then you could tell AI was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll give you 5 minutes. You give me X amount of dollars. And I'm not going out of my way for you. So yeah, I thought it was a cool idea, but kind of poor execution.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I definitely think, especially they probably came up with the idea partly because, McGrady and and I'm blanking on his other name right now.
Vince Carter.
Vince Carter ended up, ended up doing what they do with the Bills now. And it's just, yeah, it seems like something like he just didn't really want to do it. That was like the kind of the vibe you got from him of like, okay, let's just, I'll say a few things, like Scott said, like say a few things and that's it. But they've had better ones in the past. That's, I think also it is like, I believe 2 years ago, they had a really good one. And social media team for the Bills usually is one of the better social media teams in the league. They usually have some great videos and some great content, but this one was a little bit underwhelming. I do like that they kind of got Bean and Josh involved and everything, but yeah, I mean, it also, again, like if you have a guy that won't even say go Bills, like that's kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, why then if you won't even say go Bills or anything? And you get why he won't, but yeah, he did say go Josh Allen, but
he's not a Bills fan.
He's not a Bill. I guess he's a Josh Allen fan, but yeah, still, like he didn't even interact with Josh during the video, right? It was just him and Bean in the video. So
yeah,
not the worst, definitely, but not that great either. Where it's gonna be something that in 5 years you're gonna be like, oh, remember that release video the Bills did with Allen Iverson? Like nobody's really gonna be saying that. But yeah, there were some other good ones around the league. Obviously, the Colts one we talked about a little bit before the show did get taken down, which I guess is what it is.
That was hilarious, dude.
Little jab at Tyreek Hill, and I think a lot of people had fun with that one. I know, screenshots. It's the internet; everything lives forever, so people did see it even after taken down. But yeah, there were some other teams, like you said, the Falcons had a good one. Chargers definitely had the best one. But yeah, it's fun to see which some teams do. Some years are better than others, and this year I think overall as the NFL was kind of a worse year because there were only those like 2 or 3 that stood out. Where other years sometimes you have like 7 to 10 of them where you're like, oh, these are actually really good videos. But this year definitely missed the mark, I think, for most teams.
Yeah, and I feel like now that every team does it, it's not as special because it used to just be a couple teams that did something. Now that every team does, it's like, and then I
think the Browns this year did an AI video, and it just made no sense the way that it like was made. And obviously AI made it, but like I think like a bunch of the fans were like, this is the worst one I've ever seen. Like you put minimal effort into this and it's ended up being horrible. So yeah, some teams definitely got some, I don't want to say backlash, but they got some hate from their fan bases about just how kind of boring and how little effort was put into it. But yeah, I guess some teams are struggling with it when it comes to that social media part.
Yeah, and we're not crapping on the Bills' social media by any means. They do a great job, and like this thing, like I said, the intent of it, all there was very cool parts of it, but like just like having Allen Iverson sit there and be so like robotic almost, or just not really enthusiastic whatsoever. It's like you want to at least hype people up for the season in your schedule video. I would assume like give us a little something, but it is what it is. I mean, obviously it's a insignificant piece of the off season, and I guess that was that. They had a great idea. It was pretty cool, and for me, I just kind of didn't love the AI. Yeah, it could have been a lot cooler.
They got to bring him to a game this year now, though. Like they have to. Like
I know. So.
Like they is that it? It's just one video and
is he going to be the legend of the game now?
Exactly. It's like that's the other thing. Is like that's it. He doesn't care anymore about the Bills at all. Like okay.
Probably yeah.
Oh, fun. So Jordan Poyer said this week that he wants to come back and retire as a Bill, or that would be ideal, I guess he said. What would you think of that? I think Scott said it best in the chat, and you could say it again, Scott. I guess I don't mean to steal your thunder. I just want to make sure the point is made. It's like to come back to play football. No, I'm good. But like, yeah. I think he could definitely like be in that practice squad Micah Hyde sort of thing if he wants to do that. Like I would love for that to happen. If that gets him to retire as a Bill, if he wants to go through the whole season and like be there in case of break glass in case of emergency type thing, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, if he wants to sign a 1-day contract and retire as a Bill,
or even 1 day,
that's a great idea. Like, that'd be awesome. But I don't think he necessarily has a place on the field anymore.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were talking about, oh, well, he didn't leave the best way. And, it more so was part of his family that didn't leave the best way because his family was kind of going back and forth on Twitter with fans and not so much him. But yeah, it's one of those things where I guess if they did bring him in, like as a depth guy, I wouldn't like be mad, but I wouldn't be excited. I wouldn't be like, it'd be like okay. Like as long as he doesn't cost us a game, or as long as they're not playing him in the big spot where like he can
spots.
Yeah, ruin it where he can ruin a big play or give up a big play or anything. But, it would, I guess, be good to even bring him in, like you said, as a practice squad guy. He knows the system. He can help teach the young guys. He can kind of be there for Cole Bishop and everything to kind of let him grow. But, his best days are well behind him. I think we saw that last year. Had a pretty rough year in Miami. There's a reason he got cut and on his second year there. So, yeah, he was my favorite player through his tenure here, and even I wouldn't necessarily, be jumping for joy if they brought him back, just because again, he's well past his prime.
Yeah, he was a solid dude. Obviously, he played his role as good as anybody could in that tandem with Hyde. I mean, all respect for that. Does have a little bit of a media circus behind him with different members of his family or whatnot. Very opinionated and active on social media, which is all good, but I mean, sometimes it leaves a little bit to be desired there, or leaves a little bit of bad taste in your mouth when people say certain things, especially like they did when he did leave Buffalo. But I think, overall as a respect factor and things like that, the whole, sign for a day and retire as a Bill, I think that'd be pretty great. I mean, his best years, I believe, of his career were definitely here in Buffalo. There's no doubt about it. And it's just like, he played a big role. I really, respect his game for what he did here for the team in those years, and would be happy for him to kind of come. I don't know if the Bills have done a lot of that, of where they bring a guy back.
I think Fred Jackson did one of those.
Did he? Yeah, that would make sense.
Only off the top of my head. Let me give it a Google.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. So that that's cool, and we haven't had a lot of Ring of Honor action going on.
Fred Jackson did it.
So like that would be cool just to do some. Scott Sprain again, love it. Yeah, so that would be my thoughts on that. Then in the comments here, Joey made a good point. I think we'll give him props for this question here. Derrick Henry, 2-year, $30 million deal, $15 a year, and asked about how that puts James Cook in your mind. I mean, it doesn't change my mind about James Cook. We never thought he was a $15 million a year running back. $10 to $12 million a year is my comfort number. And that hasn't changed. Derrick Henry's contract doesn't change that for me. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I don't think it changes much. I mean, I guess James Cook's only, thing he could say about this is, they paid a 31-year-old that money. you're getting James Cook, who's much younger, but at the end of the day, King Henry is, he's called King Henry for a reason. He's been in the league for plenty long time. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's, one of the best running backs I've ever seen. So it's different levels where James Cook, like, he's only got that 1 year of major production. Again, great player. And from what I've heard, it doesn't sound like things are going very well when it comes to the negotiations. And not so much if that's James Cook or if that's so much James Cook's inner circle that is kind of telling him to do these things and kind of giving him this advice. And yeah, just like John said here, Derrick Henry is also a guy that you can have on all 3 downs if you need him to. Maybe now that he's getting towards older, he won't be that much, because you see them sometimes bringing a guy like Justice Hill. But with the Bills, yeah, it's like it just doesn't make sense for the roster and the way that the money's set up with the roster right now to end up signing him to a deal that big. But yeah, I don't think they'll do it either way, even if that's the only number he demands.
I don't think it changes the negotiations for Cook much, but I do think it, in Cook's mind, validates that he's worth $15 million, because no athlete sees somebody else gets paid and says, yeah, that guy's better than me. That makes sense. He sees it and says, I'm younger than him. I had more touchdowns than him. I deserve that same deal. So it doesn't change it from the Bills' perspective, but from James Cook's perspective, yeah, I think it validates that, yeah, I am worth $15 million, or maybe even $16 million, because I'm younger than him. And, you say he's a 3-down back, but in 2-minute drill, Derrick Henry's not on the field either. They bring in Justice Hill for like every passing situation. So,
Right.
But he's also like the best running back in maybe the last 20 years since LaDainian Tomlinson, if you want to say since him. But yeah, in Cook's mind, it validates that I'm worth that, because in his mind, he's better than him. So yeah, I don't like it from the Bills. From the chances of him coming back to the Bills next season, I don't like it. But someone will pay James Cook that. A team like the Panthers or the Raiders or the Browns. The Browns don't have any money, but a team that does things like that. The Jets.
There's no doubt in my
He'd be a
mind
perfect Jet.
Panthers
somebody will try to pay him that, and they'll try to play him 3 downs, I think. And I don't think that, and maybe he'll be fine there. My only thing with the Bills not paying him that money is because we know that their offensive philosophy is not going to use him, in that role. So like they're not going to play him 3 downs. Therefore, the value of that role, again, the Bills are very role based, and they're not like, oh, we need a top running back, because they do things differently. They have packages and sets where they want to make sure people stay fresh all game, so they have rotations and all this stuff. So yeah, James Cook doesn't play the full game, and I don't think that their roster structure and the way their contracts are structured with their top level players are conducive to paying a guy in that role $15 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, but yeah, it definitely at least won't happen this offseason. That's for sure. It will definitely, if it does happen, it will be in free agency next year, because I guarantee Cook will also want to see his market there, and might end up even being one of those things where if they even offer Cook 13 or 12, I mean, they're just going to probably get priced out, like Scott said, to a team like the Browns or teams that will do that or pay that much money. Heck, maybe the Giants. Who knows? But yeah.
All right. Yeah. So we'll go a little bit deeper now into the schedule here being released for the Bills. Initial thoughts on the schedule. It says here 9th easiest with last year's winning percentage. So the 9th easiest schedule based upon winning percentages from a year ago. And they are going to travel the second least amount of miles in the league. So overall, what's your initial thoughts, guys, on the schedule?
Yeah. I mean, when I see 9th easiest or 5th easiest, I at the end of the day, you see at the end of the year, that doesn't matter in the slightest. And I think majority of that is just because of our division and who's in the division. I mean, the Pats and the Jets were not good teams last year. But like when you look at the outside of the division schedule, I mean, there are some great teams that are the Bills are going to be playing. You got Baltimore coming in. You got I don't want to say New England's good or anything, but they're better now. So they're a team that will be better than they were last year. You play Cincy, you play Houston. You go down the line. You guys still got Philly, KC. So you play teams that are not gonna they're not gonna just roll over them. There are some, I guess, that you could say that they should roll over, like maybe New Orleans. But at the end of the day, this schedule, we could look back at the end of the season and say, oh, this was actually a pretty tough schedule because teams like the New England might be better, or teams like Tampa could even be better than they were last year. There's just teams that will get better and they'll be better. And, whether it's coaching that makes a difference, players that make the difference on those teams, we never know. So I never really get the ninth easiest schedule or anything like that because you never really know how tough it's going to be. But I will say the Miles thing is huge. I feel like the Bills the past few years have really just been on the other side of it, and they've been on that they travel at weird times, or they had to go overseas and the Jags are already there for 2 weeks, or they have to go West Coast, then East Coast, then back to the West Coast 2 weeks later. So it's just different things like that, but with the time differences. But yeah, this year it's good that they don't necessarily have to have too many weeks where they're like, oh, we got to go do this and then travels to the West and then come back to the East and then go back to the West again 2 weeks later. So yeah, overall, I guess that's the only part that I care about is the traveling.
Yeah, if we get an F in team travel this season again, I think we can say something's seriously wrong with the way we travel, because it's the only game I think that's not in the Eastern time zone is Houston. Everything else is a pretty clean. Even Houston's not that long of a flight, so pretty easy schedule. I love that all of the big games, quote unquote, in the schedule outside of the division are at home. Like Baltimore comes to us, the Chiefs come to us, the Bengals come to us, the Eagles come to us. We knew that going in, but now that it's out and you see the order, they're all spread out pretty nicely. The first half of the season, there's a real chance that the Bills go into that Chiefs game at 7-0, and who knows what the Chiefs are at there. So we could have definitely another game of the year situation type there. And then, like you said, some teams could be better, some teams could be worse. So we really won't be able to speak to the true strength of the schedule till the season's over. But I love that all of the, quote unquote, tougher games are at home. The bye in week 7, you'd maybe like that to be a little bit later, but it's not like it's week 4 like some other teams. So yeah, overall, I like it. Just getting me juiced up for the season.
I will say with the bye week, the good part is that's right after everybody comes back from suspension.
Stealing my thunder. It's my turn to go next. You can give my thoughts. You already gave yours, and you missed your chance, Ben.
Hey, you introduced Tom. You can finish that part, then I'll just lead into it.
Amazing job reading my mind. So, yeah, that was my first thing. I said bye week. Someone asked if the bye week was too early in the chat. I went and looked at it, and my initial thought was, oh, great. These guys get to come in after their 6-game suspension, and they get a week to get up to speed, and then they get another weeks, they get a practice against Carolina, basically. No, I'm just saying Carolina's going to be bad, so we're going to get to they're going to come in and just be able to practice.
They weren't that bad last year.
No, I know. I'm just kidding. I'm just dogging them, but hope to make it to that game. But it's not going to be a high leverage game, in my opinion, in week 8 against Carolina. So it'll get them even more ramped up to then face the Chiefs and go into that stretch from 9 to 14 or whatever you want to say there. So one of the Patriots guys predicted 13-4 today, and I was like, Jesus. But yeah, I thought the initial thought was great spacing on kind of the games where you have those high leverage games, not really back-to-back weeks. There are, we'll talk about that stretch, but I think that there aren't any big game. Last year, I feel like, what was it, 4 weeks in a row or something? At least it was Houston and Baltimore.
Ravens, and then Houston, yeah.
Miami, I think, was in there too.
Yeah, and that was kind of
Miami primetime, Jacksonville primetime, Dolphins primetime, and then Houston.
Yeah.
And then I think the Ravens were 1 or 2 after that. I think it was Titans. It might have been Titans, then Ravens, I think. So I guess you got
it was what I just said. It was Dolphins, Jaguars, Ravens, Houston.
But last year we had Kansas City, San Fran, LA, Detroit, that 4-game too. That was a pretty brutal. I don't think we have
I was right, huh, Ben?
We don't have that level of back-to-back, in my opinion, with this schedule. So
Ravens were before Houston.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, I didn't hear you say that one. So then you were right.
Dolphins, Jaguars, Ravens, Houston.
Yep. Then the Jets.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lance. Didn't mean to cut you off there.
So yeah, I guess let's get in. What's the matchup you're most excited for, Ben?
For me, it's so tough because like part of me just wants to be like, oh, week 1, obviously that's a big one. But I really am excited for the December 7th with Cincy coming here, just because I feel like for some reason, I mean, I know Cincinnati fans have like beef with every single fan base in the league for some reason. But like just the way that the Bengals and the Bills fans kind of go back and forth because of, you know, the whole thing with them in the playoffs and they beat us in the playoffs a few years ago, and it was the same year as DeMar, and everybody's like, well, we want him to come to Cincinnati so we can actually play a game in Cincy. But it's, you know, it's one of those things where it just feels like for some reason Cincinnati fans take everything super personal with the Bills, and yeah, Bills fans I guess do take things personal with the Bengals, but compared to other teams, Bills fans don't necessarily care too much about the Bengals compared to other teams like the Ravens, Chiefs, even like the Dolphins or anything. So that's the one also because it could be one of those ones where you could end up kind of impacting seeding when it comes down to the playoffs. If there are similar records towards that time, if Cincinnati ends up playing better than I think most people think they might, obviously they still have a top tier offense. We'll see what their defense looks like. But yeah, Cincy's going to be the one. Also because it's right in the middle of being away. You have 2 games away before that, then you got 2 away games after that. So that nice home game is going to be a huge one to win, despite the teams, I guess, on the road that you have to go play aren't top tier teams, besides maybe Houston being a playoff team. But yeah, Cincinnati's, I guess, going to be my number 1 pick.
Scott?
For me, I'm going to say the Eagles.
Nice.
Super Bowl champs. They're coming to our house. It's late in the season. Both those teams could be trying, if everything goes to plan, both those teams are vying for the 1 seed. And who knows, maybe that's even a Super Bowl preview. We got it in Buffalo late in the year. It's going to be cold. Those games are always fun. And it's the one team in the NFL that Josh Allen has not beaten, besides the Bills, obviously. So this would be a good chance for him to do that here.
Yeah, the division's not weak because apparently the Patriots are going to be good this year. Everyone says so. I don't know if it's
They're
the
going to be
week.
the 2 seed in the AFC East.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Baltimore game, and I was going to say like I think the let's see what Robbie's question is here. The schedule against the Ravens and Chiefs is going to be a test for the defense. So I think the Ravens game is certainly going to be a test for the defense, but I love that we're not going to have our defense there. Really, not now. Most of the guys will be there, let's say, and barring any injury in training camp, knock on wood, you know, that we'll have our full repertoire of guys minus Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi. But I like that kind of gives us something for the playoffs then, where the Ravens won't see this defense as what it actually can be in full. So that's why I really am excited for the Ravens game, because we have a chance to get them early. And even if it's a loss, like there's a good possibility they could come out, and I think they almost beat the Chiefs last year, was week 1 when they had that toe on the line against the Chiefs. Yeah. So they could definitely come out on fire, and I could see them taking that game. But regardless of it, what it does is then, you know, when playoffs come around, I think it just gives the Bills an advantage of saying, okay, you didn't really see what we can really do with our full repertoire of guys. Now, the only caveat to that is maybe there's some guys in the end of the season in the playoffs that may not be available as well if they get injured or whatnot. So there could be a double-edged sword there. But I am excited that, you know, at least Baltimore doesn't have the ability then to see those 2 suspended players, and that gives a little bit of a different dynamic when we see them. Probably inevitable to see them in the playoffs. Most likely we may not, but odds are they typically will see each other.
Well, not even just the guys that are suspended. You have, you know, Hairston will be
rookies,
more games into the season. Cole Bishop will be towards the end of his 2nd season. You'll have guys that will have more playing time on the D-line, Landon Jackson and Deion Walker. And so you'll have guys with more experience then, where week 1 through 3, you kind of still see, especially rookies, adjusting. It's that adjustment period that you're getting those games in to kind of catch up to speed there. So yeah, I agree with you on that, where it's just, yeah, you get you get them early, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because we've lost week ones to teams before, like the Jets and the Steelers, and it ends up not meaning a thing.
Right.
But you do know that if we do lose that game, there will be a lot of overreactions, but that's just the NFL in general.
Yeah,
I
I
do
like
hope-
that we're playing. A lot of people are saying like, "Oh, tough games at home," but the Bills are better at home. So I do like that the Bills are playing some of these games at home because they just win more. They went undefeated at home last year, so I think that's really a nice thing for them. And I know they lose week one games and have been fine in the past, but I'm not sure that they've lost the one seed by one game in those seasons that they lost week one. But like that's part of it, like getting those games where you could, anytime you lose, right? There's so few games here that winning those games is important if you're going to try to be a one seed, especially with being in the same conference as the Chiefs and obviously the Ravens even having a good record. Typically. So you have to have these games under your belt to try to be that one seed, which is the ultimate goal for me. Because I just think like the Bills get a one seed, they have a really good chance of winning the AFC, and then we'll see what happens in the Super Bowl potentially.
Look at the Ravens last year. They lost week one by a toe, and then the Raiders came in and they blew like a 20-point lead and lost to them. And then they beat the shit out of us in week four. But it didn't matter. Like we were the higher seed in the playoffs. They had to come to Buffalo. And if that game that we beat the Ravens in the playoffs in is in Baltimore, I don't think we win it. So yeah, like the early games, they matter.
If you had to say right now, you said we went undefeated last year at home. Obviously, I would say that the odds are very low that they go undefeated at home this year. But do you think that this is a year where they still dominate at home and maybe go 6?
Can we bet that anywhere, Scott? Can we bet the Bills to go undefeated at home?
You should be able to.
Probably. Yeah, probably. You can bet anything if you know the right guy.
But yeah, it's one of those things where like how confident would you be that they do stay at that 6-2, 7-1, 8-0 kind of record at home this year with teams like Baltimore and KC and Tampa, Cincy, Philly, they're all coming in here. All those were playoff teams last year. And then you have teams like New England, who again is a team that is kind of improving. They kind of have a new coach, so more stable, and they're in the second year of Drake May. Because that was going to be a game that I actually almost picked over Cincy to be excited about because it's that week 5. You'll be able to see how New England is with all their defensive additions. Drake May with a new coach.
Diggs.
And Stephon, well, will Diggs be back by then? It will be close because
he looked pretty good courtside of the Knicks game the other night.
That's
Cardi
true.
B is
back by week 15 at least, right? So
yeah, but it's one of those things where like it's a primetime game, it's a big divisional game. So that one to me will also be a huge, just fun game because I think the New England, it's not just gonna be like, oh, New England. Well, kind of past few years with New England, we haven't really cared about them because they've been so dysfunctional. Where now, I mean, I even know some Pats fans that are like saying just how it's nice to have stability with a coach now this year with Vrabel, because Vrabel is, I think, a very good coach in this league.
He had stability over coach for 50 years. I don't want to hear him complain about stability for a coach. Get out of here.
Well, yeah, but towards the end of Bill's tenure there, it wasn't exactly the best when it came to drafting and the power that he.
I have no sympathy for that.
Oh, I don't have sympathy for it, but I'm just saying that's what they're excited about. And with Mayo, it was a mess, and it was a mess there for a little bit. Obviously, yeah, not going to feel too bad for him because
they were bad for 2 years.
Yeah, it's like saying that you'd feel bad for me as a Celtics fan. Like we have plenty of success there, so it's like
I feel bad for you for plenty of reasons. That's not one of them.
But yeah, that was a game though that I was going to pick. That I almost picked just because I've said it a million times. I'll say it all offseason. I think the Pats are going to be the number 2 team in this division. I think they're going to fight for a playoff spot towards that 7 or 6 seed. So that's a game I'm excited about.
Yeah, and it's not all. I mean, the coach is definitely a big reason. I think people believe, but I think the quarterback having the success he had and maybe take another step, showing capability there. When Mac Jones came in, they had a bag of milk there, and they didn't really have any capability, and they knew that the whole time. So,
although Mac Jones did have a pretty solid rookie year, and then went downhill from there. So who knows? But yeah, Drake May, I think a lot of people would agree that he a little bit more exciting than Mac Jones.
Yeah, if you haven't done so already, please like and share this episode. If you're over on YouTube, give a subscribe to that YouTube channel. If you're not on YouTube, come over to the YouTube channel here at Built in Buffalo and subscribe there. Like and share this episode. If you're on Facebook, hit the like button and share. And then on X, please like and repost if you would. We really appreciate all the viewers tonight, and excited that the Bills schedule is finally released. We can start making plans. My buddy and I were already texting all day today about what we wanted to do. My uncle texted me last night immediately because he lives down in Carolina, so all that stuff happening so quickly. So it's great to have some things to look forward to now. And 5 primetime games in the schedule, no international games or holiday games. A big rumor was to play on Christmas, and that's not going to happen this year. So what do you guys think of the primetime games? We got one comment here that I will highlight saying she wishes we played more 1 o'clock games. We have 7 1 o'clock games and 10 that are not at 1 o'clock. For home games, at least, I got to get up at like 6 a.m. for a 1 o'clock home game. So I'm really good with not playing a lot of 1 o'clock home games for the Bills. And that's my own selfish want to sleep in. But yeah, what do you guys think about the primetime slate? Any international or holiday things you want to throw in there?
I'm happy, very happy to have an international game from the travel. And I'm also happy they're not playing on any holidays, because holidays are nice to spend with your family and watch other teams play. And like I said a couple shows ago, I didn't want them to play on Christmas. Thanksgiving is better because it's more of a football holiday, I would say. But Christmas, I'm not a huge fan of any games, really. It was always more of an NBA holiday for me. The Chiefs said they want Christmas to be their day. So, go ahead, by all means, take it. So yeah, happy about that. And then the primetime games are always fun, especially at home. Those tailgates get real rowdy over at the Big Tree. Sometimes there's enough time in the day that Ben even shows up, and that's always special. Ben's like a solar eclipse. You don't see him often. When we do, it's always special. If anybody in the comments can tell me what movie that's from, I'll give you a crisp high five. But yeah, I'm excited that there's no holidays, and the primetime games are always fun. A little bummed that Atlanta is on Monday night, because that was one I was trying to go to, and I don't know if my buddies will be able to make it work now because it's on a school day. But yeah, excited about it.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I am excited about no international games. That's the number one for me. I was praying that Pittsburgh would not be in Ireland, also because I just wanted to go to the Pittsburgh game in Pittsburgh. But yeah, I mean, holidays, like you said, Scott, Thanksgiving's not the worst, just because you're pretty much watching football anyways in general. But it's just, yeah, it's much more fun when you're with family celebrating a holiday and being able to not have to worry about your day being ruined, because if the Bills lose, then it just sucks. Christmas, I was kind of mixed bag with Christmas, because I wouldn't have minded it for 1 year just to see what it was like. If they were on Christmas, I would have definitely been annoyed if it wasn't prime time. But yeah, I do think it's nice that they don't have to worry about that, and don't have to worry about making plans about what you're going to do that day and everything. So yeah, I'm excited about that. 5 primetime games. I was a little shocked at how many primetime games some teams got compared to the Bills. I know the Bills were up there. They were, I think, the third most for 5 games, but I think obviously the Cowboys are always going to get a lot. They got 6, but I think New England got like three or 4.
Dolphins got 6.
Dolphins got 6. I thought they may have got 5, but either way, 5 or 6. Yeah, Dolphins
got one more than us.
Yeah, Dolphins got a lot. I mean, there were some teams that you were like, really? Like they're not any. I know some teams didn't even get any. The Browns didn't get any, which good call there. But yeah, I guess I was a little shocked at just how they kind of set that up. Not so much the Bills getting 5 primetime games, but yeah, I like seeing the primetime games in general. Although I am glad that only one of them is Thursday, correct? If I'm not wrong here.
2.
Yeah,
2 Thursdays.
The Dolphins and the Texans.
2. Yeah. At least one home primetime game.
Right.
Home primetime is on Thursdays. I'm not a fan of. But yeah, Thursdays, you don't get too many at home. You only get the one. But yeah, in general, I'm happy with the primetime games and happy who they're against as well. I love divisional games on primetime. So New England, Miami, Baltimore, obviously to start the season on primetime is just amazing.
I'm going to have to fly from Cancun to Buffalo on Sunday morning. I'm not joking. I found a flight, leave Cancun bright and early, and then I land in Buffalo at 3.
Yes, he's making it. Let's go.
Yeah, it's gonna. I'm not.
All right, we're gonna have plenty of Monster energy. Yeah, we'll have plenty of Monster energy for you when you come out.
One.
Good, yeah.
I am curious if because the Jets game doesn't have a time specifically. If the Jets end up doing better than they thought, maybe they do end up having 6, and if it's a big game. But I mean, I doubt it. But
I don't think that game would be for the division, though. That Sunday night game is always a division like game.
That's true. That's true. Hey, who knows? Justin Fields, who knows? But yeah, doubt that would happen. But
I know.
Yeah, so maybe they end up getting 6. I was a little shocked at Atlanta, though. I guess Atlanta was a little bit shocking to me just because it's NFC, AFC, and it's kind of like Atlanta. Yes, they're
Me too.
They're not a bad team, but they aren't like
they
a great
got the big, beautiful stadium. So I mean, that's what the Bills are building that stadium. So once they get that up and rocking, they're going to get a lot of these different games. Not that they aren't already. We mentioned 5. I think the max is 6, right, for teams for primetime games. So
no, somebody has 7 this year.
Oh, 7? Okay.
Kansas City has 7. They have 7.
I don't. Maybe there's not really. I thought there was a cap, but I thought it was 6.
There's a cap on Thursday night games. Thursday you can only have 2. Well, you can have more than 2 Thursday night games, but you can only have 2 Thursday night games after you play on Sunday. So you can't do that. KC though didn't shock me that was not prime time. CBS is never ever going to give that game up when the Bills play the Chiefs.
No, that one will be. It's kind of the same thing with the Eagles. Like those 2 are both going to be 4:25. CBS or Fox.
Is that Tom Brady? Is Tom Brady coming to announce the Eagles and Bills game on Fox?
That'd be Romo. Maybe. Romo will probably be the.
Well, if it's Fox,
will be JC.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So
only because I don't think of it. George Pickens got traded to the Cowboys, and I saw someone tweet. It's like now he went from no one being able to throw him the ball to no one being able to throw him the ball at Fox at 4 p.m. or on Fox at 4 p.m.
Amazing. All right, let's talk about the toughest stretch we really have here, weeks 9 through 14. We alluded to it a little bit earlier. You got KC at Miami at 1 o'clock. So the heat factor in November 9th, we'll see how that comes into play. If it's still super warm down there on November 9th, probably.
I'll be in Mexico that week too.
Nice. And then Tampa Bay, which is probably going to be a sneaky good game. And then at Houston, which we lost last year. So hopefully on a short week at Houston, coming off a Tampa Bay game, we'll see what the Bills can do with that. Then they have Pittsburgh on a long rest game, and then Cincinnati at home on a normal week. So I think that that nice long rest between Houston and Pittsburgh is nice. Houston's the farthest west the Bills have to travel this year, so they do have that going for them. And what are your guys' thoughts? I mean, what do you think they come out with here as far as a record during that stretch? I had them losing 2 of those games.
Well, you said 9 through 14?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll end up dropping at least 1. I think maybe a team like Tampa could be a sneaky team that comes in here and somehow with all their weapons, we have a younger secondary, could end up being a game where it's a shootout. So Tampa is always a team. I don't see them losing to Miami this year just because I think Miami will be I think they'll be off the rails this year. It will not be a good year for them. But yeah, KC obviously can go anywhere. Houston can go anywhere when it comes to any which way. Pittsburgh, I don't see them dropping Pittsburgh, but yeah, and then Cincy obviously is another team. So 2, maybe 3 during that stretch. So that's why I think, weeks 1 through 8, you have to come out with at minimum or at max 2 losses, in my opinion, if you want to then go into that last stretch of 15 through 18 feeling good about trying to push for that one seed or anything. So I'd say probably like 1 to 3 losses in that 9 through 14.
Yeah, this is one of those schedules where, like, if the Bills get off to a slow start, which nobody thinks that they will, like, it's going to be tough to make up ground down the stretch. So I see 1, maybe 2 losses in there. I think they beat the Bucs at home. I do. The Chiefs, they're tough every year. I could see them dropping that one. I think they lose either Houston or Kansas City. I don't think they lose both, and then maybe one of the other ones. So I would say 1 to 2 losses there. Maybe if the Steelers go double renegade, that always gets the boys fired up. Maybe that they drop that one. But yeah, I think 1 or 2. Houston on a short week going down there, it will be tough. But who knows what their offense is going to look like this year. Their offensive line was horrible last year. I know they did some to address it, but they're also not going to have all the same weapons as last year. Diggs is gone. Tank Dell definitely not playing this season. So yeah, it'll be a fun stretch. Like every one of those games should be a spread within a touchdown. So those will all be pretty close games. So but who knows? We could get there and things could not be going the way we think. But as of now, yeah, I think that's the toughest and most exciting stretch of the season.
Last time Pittsburgh played Renegade didn't turn out too well.
Beat to John Brown.
Yeah, right after that with Mr. Matt Barkley waving the jacket around. So,
but they didn't go double Renegade.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, I think we'll just get Josh Allen more amped up and ready to go.
My mom approves the Big Tree tailgate, so that's cool. Appreciate it, Mom. Thanks for watching. And I think it's going to be tough. Looking at it further, that game at Houston is going to be pretty tough. I had them at Miami losing and home against Cincinnati losing. I mean, I'm not going to back off my schedule prediction I put out yesterday. It was just an initial reaction, but I think that's just a general sense that Houston game's a prime candidate. They lost it last year, going on a short week, absolutely could drop that one. I expect Cincinnati to be better this year if they can stay healthy. In week 14, it's just going to be tough. We'll see what the Bills' war of attrition is like at that point. Are they staying healthy and whatnot? I just think it's another prime candidate where they could drop one there after, back-to-back away games. So now Pittsburgh's not that far away. They'll probably be home for most of it and just go to Pittsburgh. It's so close, but still, being away and coming home, I don't know. These games are going to be tougher than people might think, especially that stretch. But I hope that they can go 4-2 like I predict here. And I'm not sure which 4-2. Obviously, they're going to win or lose, but I think they can probably get to 4-2 in some mix there. Maybe they do beat Miami on the road and lose to Houston away, or maybe lose to Kansas City and beat Cincinnati. I think Kansas City's been beatable in the regular season for the Bills, but can't get over the hump in the playoffs. Maybe they finally can switch that up. Maybe they'll just lose to KC in the regular season this year and then go and beat them in the playoffs finally if they need to play them. I wouldn't be mad if the Bills, didn't have to play the Chiefs in the playoffs at all and they got eliminated by somebody else. And we could maybe cool. beat Baltimore. Somebody mentioned Baltimore seeing the Bills for the championship.
Until they have a quarterback, James, I'm not going to stop trashing Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's the main thing for me. As I was about to say, this bring that up.
Were we trashing Pittsburgh?
They'll go.
I said double renegade.
They'll go 9-8 for somehow, but yeah, against teams like the Bills, I don't expect Mason Rudolph to outscore Josh Allen in any circumstance. I mean, look, it could happen, but I'd bet a pretty hefty amount of money that it won't happen.
Aaron Rodgers could show up too, but
this is a pretty good comment too. Ravens linebacker said he was looking for revenge today. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that's pretty neat. I mean, it's week 1, so if they do get revenge week 1, fine. What is that? Like we talked about earlier, like doesn't really matter. Doesn't move the needle. Like good for you to get week 1, but what are you gonna do in the postseason?
See, for me, like games like this, especially early on, like if they do lose them, yeah, that next day or so, you'll be a little upset. I'll be upset. But by Tuesday, Wednesday, for me, like regular season games in general, it's hard for me to be like upset about them once I get to Tuesday, Wednesday, just because for the past few years we've seen that regular season loss
sounds nice for you.
Well, regular season loss just doesn't change that much for the Bills the past few years. In general, obviously, yeah, 1 seed, it might affect that. But when it comes to making the playoffs in general, it is what it is. Like they're going to.
We're not a team who's just trying to make the playoffs.
Yeah, but even if they don't get the 1 seed, I'm still confident going into the playoffs each year because they've made it far before. They've gotten there. Yeah, you want the first round bye, but you've also seen the first round bye for some teams hasn't mattered. Baltimore got the 1 seed, didn't matter. KC's gotten the 1 seed before, didn't matter. Obviously, KC's got it.
I will say, though, every season we haven't gotten the 1 seed in this recent run, we haven't made the Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
getting the 1 seed, I think, is pretty damn important. Like, if we play that game in Kansas City,
it's
in
nice
Buffalo,
to me.
I think we win it.
for me, it's
Yeah.
nice. Like I want it, but at the end of the day, like it's just once you know losing a week 1 game to Baltimore, I'm not gonna by Wednesday I'll be like, okay, time to move on to week 2, like on to New York. Unless they lose to a team like New Orleans, then I'm not gonna be like if it's a top tier team lost in the regular season, it sucks. But for me, it's just like I don't. It doesn't change much, especially early on for me, unless it's
Yeah, I don't think I'll be mad about the Ravens game one way or the other, unless like they just get blown out again. I mean, if they just get absolutely mopped, like yeah,
unless it's a
if
team
they
like New
if
Orleans.
they get shut out, then I'll be like, all right, this is not the way you want to start the season. But I mean, if it's just like, Baltimore makes another player or two more, their star players probably have a little bit more experience, or they're, big time players. I don't know that they have a ton of rookies they're going to have to lean on this year. I'm not an expert on their roster construction, but I think they're probably going to lean a little bit less on some rookies that are young players
Stark
than the
should
Bills are
start
going to.
Well,
because
he will now because their other safety
yeah,
player.
tore his Achilles.
Yeah, but other than that, I think
Right.
they're bringing back, especially their defense, most of their defense, if I'm not mistaken. I think corner they may have switched up a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out. But I think, like I said, as long as it's not a boat race there in week 1, we'll be fine. I won't, I won't even really be mad much at all, other than, wasting my time being
The only
there
thing for
for
me
the
that it will
loss.
do is it will put that much more pressure than to win the Jets game. Like you can't if you start 0-2, like that's going to be brutal then. But like if you start 0-1 and you go whoop the Jets, okay, like then
Yeah, I don't have a fear of that though. I'm pretty. I mean, I hope so. I'm hoping to get to that one. Hopefully, my anniversary is on the 15th of September, and we play the
Perfect way
Jets
to
on the
spend the
14th.
day.
I said, look, I'll take you to New York City for the weekend. Then you can go to the Met Gala, and I'll go to the game. And so
I'll go.
I hooked up with already talking to Peter DiBiase a little bit about that. If you want to join, absolutely, let's do it. And he's from
Closer than
downstate New York
Buffalo
too.
for
So
me.
yeah, there you go. That's awesome. So we'll see if we can make that happen. But yeah, that's again, all the fun of the schedule being released, right? Is trying to get these plans, having something to look forward to. Was really awesome. So, all right, guys, we want to do a record prediction here. I'm gonna put mine up. You can find this on my Facebook or Twitter or Instagram that I put out yesterday, nearly right after the schedule was released. Just initial predictions. Again, like I said, that Miami and Cincinnati loss could easily be switched to Houston and KC. I mean, but I think that's about where you can expect. Philadelphia is going to be tough at the end of the year if everyone's healthy. And then the one that people comment on a lot is at Atlanta, because Monday Night Football, Josh Allen's so good with Monday Night Football games. But I just really think like going into a bye week potentially after that 5-game stretch they've had could be a stumbling block for them. I don't think that they should lose against Atlanta if you tell me in a vacuum, but just the way the schedule is playing out and all that, I just think that it is a possible sort of trip up game for them. Just one of those classic ones where you lose when you shouldn't.
Plus, Michael Penix is a second year in the league, but he's older than Josh Allen.
I mean, you're seeing that more and more nowadays where people are coming in at 23, 24.
But he's old.
Oh, I don't know how old Michael Penix is.
He's 25.
He's not my quarterback. I don't care. For me, I don't really have like an official one, but I have like I think the floor is like 12-5. Ceiling, I could see 14-3, maybe 15-2 at the ceiling. Like
the ceiling is 17-0. I mean, there's no doubt.
I mean, I guess it is, but in like, I'm gonna bring it to a little bit to a reality here, Lance. I mean, who knows? Chiefs went 16-1 in the regular season last year, if I'm not mistaken, or did they drop that last game?
15-2. They didn't play their starters last week.
But I could see them losing 5 games just again because of the tough schedule. I could see them dropping 1 or 2 that they should not drop, and then I could see them losing 3, maybe 4 to those teams like Baltimore, KC, Tampa, Cincy, Philly, and maybe like a division game or 2 out of those 2, like New England, Miami. You could see them drop a Houston. So yeah, I would say floor 12-5. I'd be shocked if it's lower than that, and then the ceiling, I'd probably say 13 or 14-3. Again, maybe 15-2 as like this absolute ceiling. So anywhere in that range, I expect. Anything lower than that, though, I will be a little bit worried about what's going on if we end up at 11-6.
Yeah, I think 13-4, 14-3. I tweeted 14-3, so I'll stick with that. If I had to pick the losses today, I'd go the Ravens, and then on the road at the Texans, and then the Eagles. I think all the other games are they're all winnable. We're favored in all the games. We're the only team in the NFL favored in all 17 games. Vegas is a lot smarter than us, so I like that. But yeah, if I had to pick those three, it'd be them. And then if you want to throw in a fourth, take your pick of maybe Atlanta. A weird Monday night game where the people of Atlanta are really excited that the Bills are coming in on prime time. That stadium will be jumping. And then the Chiefs, obviously Super Bowl champs from 3 of the last 5, if my math is correct. So they always seem to have our number in the playoffs. We have it in the regular season. So maybe this time we'll lose to them in the regular season and beat them in the playoffs. So if that's a trade that's possible, I'm willing to make it.
Would take that 100%, or just not even having to play them in the playoffs. That would be
that too.
ideal as well. I mean,
last 5 in the AFC, were they 4 out of the last 5 for the Chiefs? Because the only other one was the Bengals, right? Nobody else in the past.
AFC championships, yeah, but they didn't. They only won 3 out of the 5 Super Bowls.
1. I just thought you meant get okay. Since you both went 13-4, my 4, if I had to pick for 13-4, I would say I think we dropped one of them.
That went 14-3. Were you listening?
No, I wasn't.
I lost my eyes.
I'll go my 4. I would think New England. I think we dropped one of those games. I think Cincy would be a loss. Philly might be a loss, and then either Tampa or Houston. One of those 2 games just back to back. Either they're going to drop to Tampa and beat Houston, or beat Tampa and then lose to Houston. So those would be my 4 guesses if I had to say 13-4, and if I had to guess who would be the losses.
Well, you didn't have to. But I appreciate you doing it. Would say that I didn't want to be the only one out there on a limb, so I appreciate you jumping out there with me. And that's it for us tonight. Nice quick episode for you guys, and appreciate everyone's support. Again, Monster Energy Drink, the official partner, energy partner of Built in Buffalo. Go out and support Monster if you're going to need some energy there, and go out and support the Built in Buffalo pages. I'm working on some cool stuff behind the scenes, trying to bring even more cool content and cool partnerships and different things to things like tailgates and different events in Buffalo as well. So stay tuned for all that as this off season progresses and we have more and more conversations with folks. And we appreciate all the support that you guys give us, and we'll see you next week, maybe a light week. We'll see how it goes. We'll have to talk about that after the show here, and hope to see you guys soon. Go Bills.
Go Bills.